why they have trouble letting them go, no matter if it was that pork chop, you know, or yeah, well, I had to go there, right? You know, that Sunday morning bacon. No, let me quit. But you know, no matter what it was, you know, maybe it's the little white lies. You know, it's just a little white lie. It's not gonna cause no harm. Really, a lie is a lie, right? You know, whatever it may be. You know, so it's a huge difference. So I encourage you, you know, seek to be fathered from above. Let that guy that came out, or that woman that came out of the world, let him die. Hallelujah. Let him die in the wilderness. Yes. Let them die. You should be hoping they die. You should be helping to kill them. You should be putting them on the altar. You should be sacrificing that cat. You know, present your body as a living sacrifice. Mortify the members daily. No matter how bad you want it. Put it on the altar. All right, let me have my next reader read Numbers 35 through 43, please.
I will surely do it unto all this evil congregation that are gathered together against me. In this wilderness they shall be consumed, and there they should die. And the men which Moshe sent to search the land, who returned and made all the congregation to murmur against him by bringing up slander upon the land. Even those men that did bring upon the evil report upon the land died by the plague before Yahuwah. But Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, and the son of Jephunneh, which were of the men that went to search the land, still lived. And Moshe told these things unto all the children of Israel, and the people mourned greatly. And they rose up early in the morning, and got them up into the top of the mountain, saying, Lo, we be here, and will go up unto the place which Yahuwah hath promised, for we have sinned. Wherefore now do ye transgress the commandment of Yahuwah, but it shall not prosper. Give not up, for Yahuwah is not among you. Give not up, for Yahuwah is not among you, that ye be not smitten before your enemies. For the Amalekites and the Canaanites are there before you, and ye shall fall by the sword, because ye are turned away from Yahuwah, therefore Yahuwah will not be with you.
Hallelujah. Yeah. All right, so we see in verse 35, it says, you know, Yahuwah said, you know, I'm going to do all this evil to this congregation that are gathered against me. You don't want to gather yourself against Yah. You know, it's hard to kick against the pricks. Amen. You know, and it says in verse 36, and the men which Moshe sent to search the land, who returned and made all the congregation to murmur against him by bringing up a slander upon the land, even those men that did bring up evil report upon the land, died by the plague before Yahuwah. Now, I want you to see something that I've been trying to show you time and time again since this series started. And it deals with disease. It deals with plagues. Yah was upset with these men because they brought up the evil report about the land, right? Yeah. How did they die? By plague. I want you to see and make the connection that when Yah is upset with someone, yes, the plague comes. Yes. Come on. I pray that you can see that. Yes. I've been trying to show you all along the way. Yah gets upset, plague. People rebel, plague. People want to murmur, plague. People start complaining, yep, plague. They not doing all that, everything smooth. Now, I also want you to see your nature. Don't get mad at me. But I want you to see your nature. Because if you're an Israelite, meaning that you're wrestling with good and evil and you're going to prevail by holding on to El, which is good, then you're an Israelite. And if you're an Israelite, then this is your nature. You are a stiff-necked individual.
Yes.
You are hard-headed.
Yes.
You know, so I want you to be able to see this and see why that man that came, or that woman, that man or woman that came out of Mizraim, that came out of the world, got to die in the wilderness. Now here it is, he just got on them. They just seen these men that brought up the evil report get this plague and die, right?
Yeah.
And what do? It says in verse 40, they rose up early in the morning and got them up into the top of the mountain, saying, Lo, we be here. We go up into the place which Yahuwah have promised, for we have seen. And Moshe said, wherefore now do ye transgress the commandment of Yahuwah? It shall not prosper. He tell them, go not up. Don't do it. Don't do it. For Yahuwah is not among you. You know what they did, right? It's their nature. It's your nature. They did it anyway. You know, he told them, don't go up because ye are turned away from Yahuwah. The only reason you want to go up now is not because Yah told you to. It's because Yah told you what's going to happen because you didn't go. That's the only reason your mind changed. It wasn't because you trusted in Yah to overcome the enemy, the situation and circumstance that you thought was impossible. It's because you trust him to do what he said he's going to do to you. I pray you can see the difference.
Yeah.
So I want you to understand that, you know, and I want you to understand our nature. We hard-headed. We hard-headed. We stiff-necked. All of us. You know, but we have to get away from that. You know, but if you're not able to recognize it, if you don't understand yourself, then how you gonna know how to change yourself? You know, how you gonna know what to put on the altar? Amen. Verses 44 and 45, it says, but they presumed to go up unto the hilltop. Yep, true Israelites. Nevertheless, the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah and Moshe departed not out of the camp. Then the Amalekites came down, and the Canaanites which dwelt in the hill, and smote them, and discomfited them, even unto Hormah. Now, Hormah means devoted. Now, this is good right here. I pray you can see how it was for ancient Israel, for it will be no different for current Israel while dwelling in Kadesh. They were in Kadesh. Remember, Kadesh spoke to a quasi-holiness. Kadesh spoke to being in a place, in a state where you appear holy, you act holy, you look holy. Only thing is, you're not really holy. Amen?
Amen.
You know, everything looks right on the outside, but on the inside, you're not really holy. You know, now, this is where they were dwelling when all this took place. And take note how they used every excuse possible not to do what Yah had commanded Israel to do. When he told them to go into the land, they didn't want to go into the land. When he told them don't go into the land, they wanted to go into the land. You see that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we some stiff-necked folks. You know, learn the lesson here now, folks, so that you don't have to live through their folly. For Yah is willing to allow your enemies to beat you unto Hormah. Hello, somebody. That is, beat you until you become devoted to Yah only. He's willing, when you're in Kadesh, thinking you holy, acting like you holy, looking like you holy, but you're not really holy, he'll let your enemies beat you until you become devoted to him. That's the lesson he's trying to teach us. When you get tired of them beatings, you become devoted. Because they're going to beat you right into devotion unto Yah. See, because Yah disciplines those whom he loves. Every time you get out the way, he going to whack you so good that you're going to want to do right. Until you completely devoted to him. Now, I want you to remember this because you're going to see this again. After Kadesh comes devotion. Because there's always some mess in Kadesh. There's always going to be some mess in Kadesh. But that's so that Yah can beat you into devotion. Amen? All right, so again, we have Miriam still in the camp. She was cursed. We have rebellion in the camp. We love our rebellion more than we love Yah. And that's why you see the rebellion keep rising up. Stiff-necked people we are. Number 16, 1 through 4. It reads, it says, now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan, and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, the sons of Reuben, took men. And they rose up before Moshe with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. These not just no anybody's. You have to understand that these are the ruling class. This is the aristocracy, if you would. These are the ones, the head honchos. You understand? They just not the head honchos. They right up under the head honchos. But they want to be the head honchos. 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. And they gathered themselves against Moshe and against Aaron. Now, what they want to do that for? Haven't they learned yet? Can you see they keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again? So I don't want you to feel bad when you keep making the mistakes over and over and over again. You're just a true Israelite, that's all. You know, but that's just trying to show you, you know, what part of you have to put on that altar, what part of you that you have to let Yah consume. You understand? So don't get upset because you're an Israelite. Praise Yah, you're an Israelite, you know, but learn the lesson. All right? So, now, verse 3 it says, and they gathered themselves against Moshe and against Aaron, and unto them they said, ye take too much upon you. Seeing all of the congregation are holy, every one of them, and Yahuwah is among them. Wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of Yahuwah. See, now this is the same thought and the same understanding that many people try to perpetrate nowadays, is that everybody's the same. All the congregation is holy, every one of them. Yahuwah is among us, which is all true. You are holy. You know, everyone of Israel is holy. Yahuwah is among them. Yet he still has a way in which he does things. He's an elder specificity. You know, who he put in charge is who he wanted in charge. Who he gave a job to do, that job is for them. Can't nobody else do it. It couldn't be no other Moshe. That's why you don't read about 3 and 4 Moshes in the Word. You only read about 1. Amen? You know, now it says in verse 4, and when Moshe heard it, he fell upon his face. I want you to catch on to that too. Because whenever something went wrong, whenever something went awry, you know, the leader will fall on his face. Moshe will fall on his face. What you think he was doing when he fell on his face? He was praying. This is what prayer looked like. This is what prayer looked like. Hello, somebody. This is what prayer looked like. This is, you know, when he fell on his face, y'all heard him. If y'all not hearing you, maybe you need to fall on your face. I'm just saying. Anyway, number 16, 23 through 26, and Yahuwah spake unto Moshe, saying, speak unto the congregation, saying, get you up from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Moshe rose up and went unto Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spake unto the congregation, saying, depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest ye be consumed in all their sins. It's a huge lesson here. It's a huge lesson here. You know, you got to get this one. This is a biggie. Continuing on for our series concerning all Israelites born dwelling in booths. You know, you have to understand that we all are dwelling in booths, that we all are in temporary dwelling places. You know, and we should be trying to make those temporary dwelling places tabernacles for the Most High El. We should be trying to incorporate the things within them that Yah wants in them, and take the things out of them that Yah wants out of them, and so that he might come in our midst and dwell. And a part of our journey, there is something in the Word that you don't hear very much of. It's called the way. The followers of our Messiah were called children of the way. You know, it's throughout Scripture, but a lot of times it just gets glossed over because not too many people emphasize it. But I like to emphasize the way, because if you don't understand the way of Yah, then you're not going to understand that first and foremost, that this faith, that our faith is a journey. It's a faith walk. It's a journey, you know, and that's important to understand, because a lot of times people become stagnant and they think that they have it, you know, and that's just not how that's just not how Yah orchestrated it. You know, when you look at all his saints, you know, especially early patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Yaakov, they were all sojourners. You know, they all traveled in the way of Yahuwah. You know, and so even Israel, when they became a nation, they were traveling through the wilderness, you know, in the way of Yahuwah. And this is the series that we're looking at. We're looking at the stations that they stopped at along the way, because it teaches us about that way of Yahuwah. It teaches us about where we're going to have to go and what we're going to have to go through in this journey in following Yah. And you may think, well, we have a Messiah now, but trust me, the Messiah walked the very same way. Yes. This is why when he was baptized, it says immediately the Ruach led him into the wilderness. We all must have a wilderness experience. You know, and it kind of helps when you know what to expect. Yes. And so, you know, I pray that you, as we go through this series, you see yourself somewhere, you know, within it, so that you know where you are upon the journey of Yah, you know, so that we can all make it into the kingdom of Elohim. Amen. Amen. All right, so that's it. You know, last week we spoke about Miriam. And we spoke about how she had became cursed, and Yah had cursed her, and so that she would be put out the camp, and she was cursed with leprosy, and so she was supposed to stay without the camp and likely die, you know. But, you know, Moshe interceded for her. They insisted that she come back in. They would not move until she was brought back into the camp, you know. And so what I was pointing out is that this was a spiritual picture of them choosing to keep rebellion in the camp, because Miriam's name means rebellion. And so this is a spiritual picture of them choosing to hold on to their rebellion. They loved their rebellion, you know. And we talked about how Miriam was a prophetess and how she was in the highest family. She was in the highest family in Israel at the time, which was the not only the highest tribe, which was the tribe of Levi, but the highest family, which was the family of Moshe. You know, Moshe, of course, was Moshe, and the high priest was his brother Aaron, and Miriam was their sister, and she was a prophetess. So this is like the number one family in Israel, and the prophetess Miriam, you know, Yah chose to make an example out of her, you know, because her name does mean rebellion, and it represents rebellion, and he cursed that rebellion, you know, with leprosy. You know, and it said that she became white as snow. And they insisted until she was healed, they insisted that they're not moving until she's brought back in. You know, and again, that's a spiritual pick of them holding on to their rebellion. But I want you to take a look in the mirror, a deep look within oneself, you know, because many of us also refuse to let Yah curse our rebellion. Many of us refuse to let our rebellion go. Many of us are in love with our rebellious ways, you know, and we choose to hold on to them rather than to have them die off. And even as we're going to continue to see throughout the lesson today, as long as that rebellion is within our midst, it's going to cause trouble for Israel. It's going to cause trouble. You know, and sometimes that rebellion is, as someone was speaking about, concerning food. Sometimes the rebellion is concerning food, but sometimes it's concerning people. You know, sometimes it's concerning, you know, something that you've been used to doing, you know, all your life. For me, it was gambling, you know, but it could be just about anything that's against the will of Yah. Yes. When you love that more than you love the will of Yah, that's when you get in trouble with Yah. Amen? Amen. You know, so we left off last week with Israel rebelling against Yah's command to go in and take the land of Israel. Now, he tried to get them to get rid of the rebellion before they even got to this point.
Yes, indeed.
But as we just were speaking about, they chose to hold on to the rebellion, and so they got to the edge of the land in which they were coming, that Yah had promised them. So they're at the promised land. Amen. You know, it's like it's over 2 years. It's about almost 2 years after they came out of Egypt. So they left Egypt or Mitzrayim about 2 years prior, and here it is. They're at the gate of the promised land, and they send spies into the land. Spies come back, tell, oh, it's a wonderful land. It's flowing with milk and honey. It's everything that Yah said it was. But there's giants in the land, and we're not strong enough to defeat them. And you know, they're gonna squash us like bugs. You know, we look like grasshoppers in there next to them, and even to them, we look like grasshoppers. You know, and we look like grasshoppers to ourselves next to them. You know, there's giants in the land. We can't overcome them. And so the 10 of the spies gave a bad report, 2 gave a positive report. You know, and so they began to murmur, and they began to, you know, talk about, you know, how it would have been better if they'd stayed in Egypt. You know, they began to say how much, you know, speak about, you know, how they fared better when Pharaoh was their taskmaster, you know, rather than Yah. Now, Yah, as with anyone, you know, who had just, you know, saved someone from their oppressors, and, you know, has been overly kind to them throughout their journey, you know, is kind of upset with them for these words. You know, because it shows, you know, a lack of gratitude. You know, and so this is Yah's response in Numbers 14, 26 through 28. It says, and Yahuwah spake unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying, how long shall I bear with this evil congregation, which murmur against me? I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against me. Say unto them, as truly as I live, saith Yahuwah, as ye have spoken in my ears, so will I do to you. You know, now what did they speak in his ears? You know, I know that was last week. You probably don't remember, so we're going to take a look. Numbers 14, 2 and 3 says, and all the children of Israel murmured against Moshe and against Aaron. First of all, let me stop right there. Because when you murmur against the agent of Yah, you're murmuring against Yah. When you murmur against his ambassador, you're murmuring against him. You know, and this is not me saying this. This is what Yah is saying. Verse 2, continuing on. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moshe and against Aaron, and the whole congregation said unto them, would Elohim that we had died in the land of Mitzrayim, or would Elohim we had died in this wilderness? And wherefore hath Yahuwah brought us unto this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Mitzrayim? You know, so Yah said, as ye have spoken, so will I do to you. This is what they said. They said, you know, we wish we'd have died in the wilderness. We wish that our wives and our children, you know, it seemed like they're going to be a prey. Now, truly, Israel had misjudged their situation and circumstances. They had grossly underestimated the strength and might of Yahuwah our Elohim. If they had just listened to Caleb and Joshua, you know, as they were giving them the good report, and as they were saying, Yah is with us, we can overcome these folks. You know, they're as bread unto us. We're going to just consume them. We're going to go through them. You know, Yah is with us. Don't hesitate. Let's go do this. You know, but they misjudged their situation and circumstances. They looked at the situation, they looked at the circumstances, and fear overcame them. Does that sound familiar? You know, it should, because that doesn't happen to each and every one of us in some way or in some capacity. You know, we have to, fear is a natural thing. It's going to come, but you should not let it rule over you.
That's right.
You always trust Yah and trust in what he says. You know, this is why we don't walk by sight. It doesn't matter what the situation looked like. It doesn't matter what the circumstances appear to be. We walk by faith. You know, knowing that Yah is able, that the El we serve is well able to deliver us out of any set of situations and circumstances. Amen? So, hence, we have to be careful how we judge the situations and circumstances of our lives today. And even more importantly, we must learn to filter the words we speak into Yah's ears. Don't you know that everything you say, Yah hears it? You think you're talking to so-and-so? You think you're talking about so-and-so? Yah hears all. And you have to watch your words, because at the end of the day, you're going to be judged based upon the things you say. That's going to come into a part of your judgment. Don't believe me? Okay. Let's go to Matthew chapter 12, verses 33 through 36. My first reader, please.
Either make the tree good and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and his fruit corrupt. For the tree is known by his fruit. O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. But I say unto you, that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment.
Hallelujah. All right, so what Yah is telling us, he says, for the tree is known by its fruit. So if you want to know who you're dealing with, if you want to know who you're dealing with, no matter man, woman, or child, if you want to know who you're dealing with, you want to know what you're dealing with, you know, the tree is known by its fruit. So, and this is something that a lot of people seem to forget quite often, especially in dealing with Yah's people. You go to a church, you want to know, you know, hey, is this person, is the leader a man of Elohim or not? You know, check the fruit. Amen? Amen. You know, it doesn't matter how, you know, how handsome they may be, doesn't matter how, you know, articulate they may be, doesn't matter how eloquent they may be. What matters is their fruit. That's right. Amen? Amen. All right, so here it is. What fruit are we to be looking for? First of all, it's the fruit of the lips. It's the words that proceed from their mouths. Amen? Amen. You know, vipers have a forked tongue. Keep that in mind. You know, now, it says, how can ye, being evil, speak good things? You can't. An evil person can't continually speak good things. They can fake it for a minute, but eventually the fruit gonna fall from the tree. Why? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. All you gotta do is get a person talking, and if you let them talk long enough, they're gonna tell you what kind of tree they are. Okay? Now how can you tell? Verse 35, a good man out of the good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things. And an evil man, out of the evil treasure of his heart, bring forth evil things. You know, and then Yah drops this bombshell on us. See, because a lot of people love to talk, but they don't filter their words. The bombshell is in 36. He says that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. So what does he mean, every idle word? The word idle is argos. It's number 692 in the Strong's. And it speaks to being inactive, unemployed, barren. It is void of action. It doesn't have any life. It's unemployed. It's not meant to do anything, especially anything positive. It's barren, again, not having any life. You know, so, you know, these are idle words. You know, we don't want to speak idle words. You know, now, Matthew 12:37 says, for by the words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. That's huge. This is our Messiah speaking here. Amen? Amen. You know, so, you know, we need to take this very seriously, because as we're about to see, you know, in our journey in the wilderness, it had dire consequences. Their words had dire consequences on their lives. And likewise, our words will have dire consequences when we appear before the judgment seat. You know, by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. That said, what about you? Are ye good trees or evil? To put it another way, are the fruit of your lips good? That is, are they filled with love, joy, peace, long-suffering, goodness, temperance, meekness, gentleness, and faithfulness, the fruit of the Ruach HaKodesh, the fruit of the Holy Spirit? Or do you find your words to be filled with anger, aggression, hatred, arrogance, uncleanness, lasciviousness, complaining, division, and strife? Do you find yourself murmuring about this and about that? That tells you what kind of tree you are. Good thing trees can be transplanted. You know, sometimes you know, you just have to nurture the soil. You know, so the thing is your words are powerful. Your words are going to have play a big role in your judgment. So you should filter the words that come out of your mouth. You should try to only speak, you know, those things that's concerning good fruit. The fruit of the Ruach HaKodesh, the fruit of the Spirit, the love, the joy, the peace. Let your words be of these things, of goodness and temperance. Don't let your words be filled with what you don't have, with how hard things are, with things that's going to cause strife and division, with lustings of your flesh. Don't let your words be puffed up with your arrogance. You understand? Yeah. You know, filter the things that come out of your mouth. Okay, I think I beat that horse long enough. All right. Yeah. All right, Numbers 14, 29 through 31. Yah is continuing on to tell what he's going to do because they have murmured against him. So let me have my next reader read Numbers 14, 29 through 31, please.
Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upwards, which have murmured against me. Doubtless ye shall not come into the land concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein, save Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun. But your little ones, which ye said should be a prey, them I will bring in, and they shall know the land which ye have despised.
Hallelujah. All right, so let's define some of these names. Caleb speaks to a dog. His name is Dog. And he's actually a picture of the Gentiles, you know, who were called dogs. Jephunneh, his father, his name means who was, is, or will be prepared. You know, and so this is actually a picture of who's going to be allowed into the kingdom of Elohim. In this case, the promised land, you know, but in the larger scheme of things, the kingdom of Elohim is only be those Gentiles who are prepared, and Yahushua, the son of eternity, which is, of course, our master Yeshua, right? Yeah. Okay, so these are the only ones that's going to be allowed into the kingdom. You know, and of course we become one with Yahushua, you know, and we ride in on his coattail. Yes. You know, and what I want you to see is what Yah is saying here is the equivalent of what Yahushua said in Yochanan chapter 10 when he was telling Nicodemus how you have to be born again. This is the exact same thing. This is why Yahushua was saying this. Because first the natural, then the spiritual, he's not doing anything different. You know, he's not doing anything different. This is why, you know, we're supposed to be the mature children of the faith, because we do have and should know what's to come. We have tomorrow's newspaper at our disposal. None of us should be caught unawares or off guard because we know what's going to happen. Now, do we have an advantage over them of old? No, we don't. Because Yah was actually showing up and showing out in their lives. In grand fashion. He was splitting red seas. He was bringing water from rocks. He was raining manna from heaven. He was allowing them to live in an uninhabitable place. In the physical realm, things that were absolutely impossible became possible before their very eyes. So did they have an advantage because they were eyewitnesses to these things? No. Because they never knew what was going to happen next. We know what's going to happen next, but we just don't know how and when. So neither group has an advantage. But we do know what's going to happen, so we should be the more mature. That is, if we believe the word. Because it doesn't matter if you know what's going to happen if you don't believe it's going to happen. They tell you it's going to rain today and you don't believe them, even though you did know, you had knowledge of it, because you didn't believe it, you didn't take an umbrella with you. So when you come in soaked, you can't blame nobody but yourself, right? Say loud. Okay, so what we have here is a spiritual picture of a prophecy concerning born-again Israel and how they are the ones that will go into the promised land. It's the little ones. It's the ones who were born in the wilderness. All the ones that came out of Mitzrayim will die in the wilderness. Now I want you to think about that for a minute. Okay? Because this is the way of Yahuwah. This is the way all of us have to travel. So we all start out, like a Moshe. We all start out getting drawn out of the world in some way or some shape, form, or fashion. We all have some type of Moshe come into our life in some respect, or become some type of Moshe where we're drawn out of the water, out of the nations, and we're nurtured, and eventually we come out of the world. We come out of Mitzrayim, okay? And we come into this wilderness experience. And the one who came out has to die in that wilderness. You have to understand that. If you embark upon this journey, and at the end of the journey, you're the same person that you were when you first came out, you failed. You're doomed. See, because the one who came out has to die in the wilderness. This is what Yah is telling us here. The one that came out has to die in the wilderness. So everyone who originally comes out has to die in the wilderness. You have to understand this. So in other words, by the end of your journey, you should be born again. You should be father from above. You should be seeing things differently. You should be different. If you're still doing the same old things, speaking the same way, doing the same things, everything's still the same, then you're not father from above. You're the same old person. And you have to die in that wilderness. And if you don't have another person that was born again, that was father from above, to enter into the promised land, then you're just going to die in the wilderness, and you're going to cease to exist. I pray you see this. I pray I pray that you can see this, because this is what the Messiah was talking about when he said, except you be father from above, you can't even see the kingdom of Elohim. So I pray that you get this. Now, even as Paran spoke to making oneself clear, we find here Yahuwah is making himself clear to Israel, letting them know that due to Miriam, i.e. their rebellion, original Israel, which was led by Moshe, must die in the wilderness. And only those below the age of accountability or born in the wilderness will be allowed into the promised land. That is the kingdom of Elohim. And so what's the difference? The ones that was born in the wilderness, they never knew what was in Egypt to compare. They didn't have anything to compare with Yah's way to the man's way. They were born in the wilderness. All they knew was the word of Elohim. All they knew was manna. They couldn't long for leeks and for cucumbers and for flesh because they never had it. All their life they had manna and they was perfectly happy with it because that's all they were used to it, because that's all they ever had. They didn't have anything to compare it to. You know, they were used to living by the way of Yahuwah. They were used to living by his commandments, statutes, and decrees, because they never had any other commandments, statutes, and decrees to compare them to. You understand? You know, they were totally different than the people who originally came out of Mitzrayim with all these memories that's haunting them, that's causing them to lust for things that they don't have in the wilderness that they had in Mitzrayim. But those who are born in Mitzrayim or were too young to remember, they don't have those problems. They're perfectly content because all their needs are met. They're not wanting for anything. They don't have anything that, everything that they need is met. You know, y'all making sure he's feeding them. They have water to drink. They have clothes on their back. They have a roof over their head. You know, they're not in need. You understand? You know, so their mindset is totally different than the one who originally came out. The one who originally came out of the world has to die in the wilderness, because those memories will keep them lusting for things outside of the will of Yah. You know, this is why, you know, folks have such a hard time letting things go. When they find out Yah said do it this way, they don't want to let the things go that they were used to in the world. So hereby we're learning that the company you keep can bring a curse upon you. Did you catch that? He said, lest ye be consumed in all their sins. But I ain't do nothing but you over there with them. Hello, somebody. He said, I pray you from the tents of these wicked men and touch nothing of theirs. Touch nothing of theirs. Some of them gonna want you to be their friend during that time. They gonna want somebody to stand with them. Don't do it. Don't do it. If they in the wrong, don't you stand with them. If they going against Yah, you better get away from them. Why? Lest ye be consumed in all their sins. Now you running around with a sinner you know is a sinner, you know they not right. Don't you know that they curse can come upon you? This is what we're being taught right here. You got to get this, because some of us don't want to let some folks go out of our lives. Don't you know that everybody that's been with you for a long time is not your friend? Just because you know someone 20 years don't make them your friend. Just because you know them 30 years, you know them all your life, don't make them your friend. If they wrong, they wrong. Call a spade a spade. If it walk like a duck and quack like a duck, it's a duck. And if that duck gonna cause you to be stuck like Chuck, you need to get away from it. You don't want to be consumed in the sins of someone else. We all got enough problems of our own not to be taking on somebody else's. Amen? We hard-headed enough. We stiff-necked enough not to be taking on somebody else's mess. You know, if you trying to be a saint, then run with saints. Amen?
All right now. Say that.
You gotta get this, because this is huge. This is huge. A lot of times you want to keep these people around thinking that you're going to cause them to be saved. That your cleanliness is going to rub off on them. You know, that they're going to see how good you are and they're going to want to be good. They can see from afar. Amen? You keep rubbing shoulders with them, your white suit going to get dirty. They dirty suit not going to get clean. I pray you understood that. We're going to move on. I got to let it go, but that's a big one. Numbers 16, 36 through 40, and Yahuwah spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, that he take up the censers out of the burning, and scatter thou the fire yonder, for they are hallowed. The censers of these sinners against their own souls, let them make them broad plates for a covering of the altar. For they offer them before Yahuwah, therefore they are hallowed. And they shall be a sign unto the children of Israel. And Eleazar the priest took the brazen censers, wherewith they were burnt, had offered, they were made broad plates for a covering of the altar, to be a memorial unto the children of Israel, that no stranger, which is not of the seed of Aaron, come near to offer incense before Yahuwah. That he be not as Korah and as his company, as Yahuwah said to him by the hand of Moshe. So only the Levite, that is, only those attached to Yah, which are descended from the light bringer, that is Aaron, are to offer incense before Yah. You know, you have to understand, and you have to respect Yah's decision making. You know, yeah, you know, you may be like Korah and Dathan, and you may feel like, you know, hey, I could do that better. But Yah didn't choose you. You know, so you have to respect his decision making. Amen? You know, and just what is offering incense a picture of? You know, we're gonna see in this next passage, verses 41 through 48. My next reader, please.
But on the morrow, all the congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moshe and against Aaron, saying, Ye have killed the people of Yahuwah. And it came to pass, when the congregation was gathered against Moshe and against Aaron, that they looked toward the tabernacle of the congregation. And behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of Yahuwah appeared. And Moshe and Aaron came before the tabernacle of the congregation. And Yahuwah spake unto Moshe, saying, Get you up from among this congregation, that I may consume them as in a moment. And they fell upon their faces. And Moshe said unto Aaron, Take a censer, and put fire therein from off the altar, and put on incense, and go quickly unto the congregation, and make an atonement for them. For there is wrath gone out from Yahuwah, the plague is begun. And Aaron took as Moshe commanded, and ran into the midst of the congregation. And behold, the plague was begun among the people. And he put on incense and made an atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed.
Hallelujah. All right. You know, now you would think that after all this, Israel would have learned their lesson, right? Very next day, on the morrow, all the congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moshe and against Aaron. They haven't learned. Moshe is nothing. Aaron is nobody. It's all about Yah. They're just vessels that Yah is utilizing. You know, and so it is now today. Again, you know, people look at the agents of Yah and they just see the people. They don't see Yah working through them. You know, and you know that's not good, because you know when they go up against them, they don't realize they're going up against Yah. You know, and how many times have they came up against Moshe and Aaron and it ended badly? You know, it seemed like you would learn after a while, but no, they stiff-necked, they hard-headed. You know, now here it is, they come up against them saying, Ye have killed the people of Yahuwah. Ye have killed the people of Yahuwah. See, they still believe in that same thing. We all holy Yahs within our midst. You take too much upon yourself. You know, now they not saying Yah killed his people. They saying ye have killed the people of Yahuwah. They still think that it's Moshe and Aaron. They still not convinced that it's Yah doing this. They think Moshe and Aaron is pulling all these tricks out their sleeve. They think they're a couple of magicians or something. It's evident in the words that they are saying that they believe that it was them doing these things, that it wasn't Yah. Ye have killed the people of Yahuwah. You know, and it came to pass that the congregation was gathered against Moshe. What you think they was about to do to them? You know, they just 250 some people just died, and they saying y'all killed them. And they saying we about to take care of y'all. Say they gathered against Moshe and Aaron and looked toward the tabernacle of the congregation, and behold, the cloud covered it. Boy, they just would not learn. And the glory of Yahuwah appeared. And Moshe and Aaron came before the tabernacle of the congregation, and Yahuwah spake unto Moshe, saying, Yet again, get you up from among this congregation that I may consume them as in a moment. Now, he done said this a few times now at this point. See, and I want you to know that in Yahshua, he did do that. Moshe interceded and stopped him from doing his will. But Yahushua, he let him go ahead and do it. And he destroyed Israel and started a new nation from Yahushua. And that's why Yahushua is a parallel to Israel. They both many-member bodies. They both are the sons of Elohim, so on and so forth. The parallel goes on and on and on. But, you know, we're not going to get into that. But, Selah. All right, so now it says, what did they do after he told them he going to consume them in a moment? And they fell on their faces. I don't think folks on their face enough. Because I keep seeing this all throughout this journey. All throughout this wilderness experience, I keep seeing these two guys on their faces. You know, so if you want to be like a light bringer or a Moshe, I think you need to get on your face. Verse 46 said, take a censer and put fire therein. Moshe said unto Aaron, take a censer and put fire therein from off the altar and put on incense. And go quickly unto the congregation and make an atonement for them. Why? For there is wrath going out from Yahuwah. The plague is began. Yah is upset. Wrath is going out. And what started? Plague. What is a plague? Disease. Can you see this? I pray y'all getting this. Because there's a lot of sick people in the body of Messiah. Somebody needs to get this lesson. Somebody needs to understand. And Aaron took, as Moshe commanded, and ran in the midst of the congregation, and behold, the plague was begun among the people. And he put on incense and made an atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed. Now I want you to picture that. Aaron, he grabs his censer. He puts the incense on it. Take the hot coals, he put the incense on it. You know, and he stands in between the dead and the living, and the plague will stay. What is this a picture of? Yah is drawing us a picture. You know, as Brother Kurt said, you know, it's of prayer, but it's not just any type of prayer. It's intercessory prayer. See, this is why we have Aaron standing in the midst of Yah's wrath. He's in the midst of Yah's wrath. He's standing between the dead and the living, as if to say, you know, no, Father, you know, plague me, but don't plague your people. Don't plague these people no more. And Yah respects him. He won't go past him because he's standing in the gap. How many of you are willing to stand in the gap for your loved ones? How many of you are willing to stand in the way of that fire? See, because that's what the incense represents. It represents your flesh. The fire represents Yah, because Yah is a consuming fire. And so when you put yourself upon Yah's fire, what goes up is the aroma, the sweet savor. That sweet fragrance to Yah's nostrils. Why is it sweet? Why is it so good smelling to him? Because that's love. Because you have to have some love for somebody to stand in harm's way on their behalf. No greater love than a man lay down his life for his friends. Amen. You got to have some love to stand in the gap. You have to have some love to throw yourself on that fire so that your loved ones don't get burnt. Amen. You know, I pray that you can see this. You know, this is how the plague was stopped. You know, so we go on. Numbers 33:18 tells us they departed from Hazeroth and they pitched in Rifmah. Rifmah speaks to a valley of brooms. They had to clean their act up. Numbers 33:19, and they departed from Rifmah and pitched at Ramon Perez. Ramon Perez speaks to a pomegranate breach or a rising breach. So here it is. They got hard. Some of the rebellion is rising up again. They about to make another breach. You know, so likely they done did that, got reprimanded. Numbers 33:20, they departed from Ramon Perez and pitched in Libnah, whiteness. You know, they got reprimanded, you know, they got right again. Numbers 33:21, they removed from Libnah and pitched in Rissah. You know, with Rissah speaks to a ruin as dripping to pieces. You know, here it is, they in love with their rebellion, you know, and now they're getting torn to pieces again. They journeyed from Rissah and pitched in Kehelatha, which speaks to a convocation or assembly. You know, so after being broken to pieces, they reassemble themselves. And they go from Kehelatha and pitched in Mount Shafir, which speaks to beauty. So now they're back beautiful again. They removed from Mount Shafir and encamped in Haradah. Haradah speaks to fear. Hopefully it's the fear of Yahuwah.
That's right.
Numbers 33:25, they removed from Haradah and pitched in Makheloth. Makheloth speaks to assemblies. You know, so they're reassembling. And verse 26, number 33:26, and they removed from Makheloth and encamped in Tahath. Tahath speaks to the bottom. Got to start somewhere, right? Numbers 33:27, they departed from Tahath and pitched in Tarah. Tarah speaks to a delay. Okay, had to put the brakes on. Numbers 33:28, they removed from Tarah and pitched in Mithkah. Mithkah speaks to sweetness. Okay, back on the right track. Numbers 33:29, they went from Mithkah and pitched in Hashmonah. Hashmonah speaks to fatness or fertile. All right, still on the good side. You know, Numbers 33:30, and they departed from Hashmonah and encamped in Moseroth. Moseroth speaks to corrections of chastisement. They messed up again. Numbers 33:31, and they departed from Moseroth and pitched in Bnei Ya'akan. Bnei Ya'akan speaks to the sons of twisting or sons of torture. So now here it is, they're getting reprimanded again, you know. Numbers 33:32, and they removed from Bnei Ya'akan and they encamped in Horgad. Yeah, that's a mouthful. Horgagidad. All right, Horhagidad. Horhagidgad. Yeah, okay. Speaks to a cavern in the cleft. Cavern of the cleft, cave of the cleft. Numbers 33:33, and they went from Horhagidgad and pitched in Yophbathah. Yophbathah speaks to goodness or pleasantness. Numbers 33:34, and they removed from Yophbathah and encamped in Hebronah. Hebronah speaks to transitional or passage. Numbers 33:35, and they departed from Hebronah and encamped in Ezion-Gaber. Ezion-Gaber speaks to a giant's backbone. All right. Got the backbone of a giant. Numbers 33:36, and they removed from Ezion-Gaber and pitched in the wilderness of Zin, which is Kadesh. Zin speaks to a flatness and also speaks to prick. You know, and we know what Kadesh speaks to. Kadesh is, we're back at this place where we're looking holy, we acting holy, we just not holy. It's a quasi-holiness. You know, on the outside everything look good, but you know, on the inside it's just not right. Amen? You know, so, you know, I want you to understand that they done came full circle. They're back at Kadesh. You're not going to get past Kadesh. You know, so let's see what happens. Numbers 20, verse 1, it says, then came the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, into the desert of Zin, the first month, and the people abode in Kadesh. And Miriam died there and was buried there. Finally getting rid of rebellion. She dies at Kadesh. All right? You know, now it doesn't say when she died. It just tells us where she died. She died at Kadesh. But let's see what happens in Kadesh, because rebellion ain't gone yet. Says, and there was no water, verses 2 through 7, and there was no water for the congregation. They gathered themselves together against Moshe and against Aaron. And the people chose with Moshe and spake, saying, would Elohim that we had died when our brethren died before Yahuwah. See, now we just seen what happened last time they said this, right? And last time they said this, guess where they were? They were in Kadesh. That was the last time they said this. Now, to their credit, this is like 38 years later. But like father, like son, right? You know, verse 3, and the people chose with Moshe and spake, saying, would Elohim we had died when our brethren died before Yahuwah, and why have you brought up the congregation of Yahuwah into this wilderness that we and our cattle should die there? And wherefore have you made us come up out of Mizraim to bring us into this evil place? It is no place of seed, or of figs, or of vines, or of pomegranates, neither is there any water to drink. And Moshe and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they fell upon their faces again. And the glory of Yahuwah appeared unto them, and Yahuwah spake unto Moshe, saying, take the rod, and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes. And it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock, and so thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. And Moshe took the rod from before Yahuwah as he commanded him. And Moshe and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock, and said unto them, hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moshe lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice. And the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also. But in verse 8, I could have sworn it said that y'all told them to speak ye unto the rock before their eyes. Right. So what they beating on the rock for? And talking about them being rebels, right? Yeah. Okay. Verse 12. And Yahuwah spake unto Moshe and Aaron, because ye believe me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. This is the water of Meribah, because the children of Israel strove with Yahuwah, and he was sanctified in them. Now verse 12 said they didn't believe him. You know, they didn't believe that if they just spoke to that rock, that the water was going to come. They felt because they had to hit the rock the first time, maybe they got to hit the rock the second time. I don't know. But I know they hit the rock. And they didn't hit it once, they hit it twice. You know, and because of that, you know, for one, they had Kadesh. For two, maybe, just maybe, Miriam is still alive at this point. Rebellion is still alive in Israel. It's dwindling down, but at this point it's still alive. You know, and it says, therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. They done been in this wilderness for 40 years, and they not going to make it in. You know, and I know that sounds sad. You know, but we'll talk about that in a second. You know, Meribah means strife or contention. And it's because they contended with Yah. So the lesson to be learned here is how a leader can do things wrong, and Yah may still bless his people for his name's sake. See, because Yah still knew that they needed water. Yes. And he still gave them water, even though Moshe and Aaron were disobedient. He didn't make his children pay for their disobedience. But that doesn't mean there's no consequences for the leaders to pay. Now Moshe messed up once in 40 years, from what we can tell in Scripture. That's the only mess up that I can find that he did. You know, since Yah had called him to go and deliver his people. And now he can't enter into the land. That seemed kind of harsh, don't it? See, but you have to understand the picture that Yah is painting. And the picture that he's painting is that everyone who comes out of Mizraim, everyone who comes out of the world, everyone who comes into the wilderness has to die in the wilderness. Unless they come in so young that they're not accountable for their actions, or they're born in the wilderness, they cannot enter into the kingdom. You have to get this. This is huge. This is what the Messiah is talking about in Yochanan 10 when he's speaking to Nicodemus. Again, this is about being fathered from above. Everyone must be fathered from above if they're going to enter into the promised land. You cannot come out of the world and steal and follow Yah and walk in the way of Yahuwah and still walk the same, talk the same, dress the same, look the same, and everything be the same as when you left out. Because you're just the same person. Can you understand? You know, Yah's word will change you. Yah's word will cause you to conceive. It will cause you to be fathered from above. It will cause a new you to exist. Now that new you will be at odds with the old you. But that new you will be the one to go into the promised land, to go into the kingdom of Elohim. That old you that contends with the new you has to die in the wilderness. You got to get that. See, because if you not that new creature in Messiah, if you that same old person and you just, but yet you running around talking about Messiah as your Adonai, he's your Lord, he's your Savior, then you're not doing something right. See, this is why you see it speaks about a new creature in Messiah, because you have to be fathered from above. You have to be born again. You have to become a new creature in Messiah. You can't be the same old cat. You can't be the same old man or woman that you were, you know, just with a few words that came out of your mouth. You know, just because you said, you know, yeah, I accept the Messiah as my Lord and Savior, you know, therefore I'm saved. No, you're not. You're on the path to salvation. That's why, you know, Romans 10 speaks about going unto salvation. You're not there yet. You're just on the way. You still have to walk this thing out. Just like all these people had to walk it out. Just like all the saints had to walk it out. You got to do some walking too. You got to go through your wilderness experience. And you have to die in that wilderness. You can't come into the kingdom of Elohim with the same flaws that you came out of Mizraim with. You can't go into the kingdom of Elohim with that same lying and cheating and lustful spirit that you came out of Mizraim with. That's what the whole wilderness experience is for. It's to kill it. That's why Aaron had to die in the wilderness. The light bringer, yes, he had to die in the wilderness too. That's why Moshe, yes, he had to die in the wilderness too. Everybody has to die in the wilderness. Except for Yahushua. Because through him we have life.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and Caleb, who prepared himself because he was with Yahushua. So you have to understand that this is just a spiritual pic of what we see in the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament. You know, it helps us to understand the New Testament. It helps us to understand what the Brit Hadashah is talking about. Without the Old Testament, we can never understand what the New Testament is talking about. I pray that I help make, I sincerely tried. I pray that I succeed in helping you see things a little more clearly. That's all I have for you today. Pray with a blessing.